Hell yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. We are live. Spiro, yes, indeed, you are first. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Tammin, thank you for the Prime as well. Spiro with 25-month streak on the Tier 1 sub. Thank you so much for that support, dude. That means a lot to me. Thank you very much for that. I hope you're doing well. Apotham, good to see you as well. I'll be dipped. It's Tammin. That's awesome. Tammin, how have you been, man? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. One of my favorite Brazilians there. So good to see you, man. Welcome, welcome. Singy over on YouTube, how are you doing? Good to see you as well. Diamond dropping the sub too.
Hello,
thank you so much.
I can mark processing Unicode graphemes off my bucket list. Never again. 1 week of my life deleted.
Oh, man. Yeah. That is a massive undertaking. I plan to never do that, actually. If you ever release that, like, publicly, let me know. Because I might actually wind up stealing that. But yeah, that's awesome. And thank you so much for the support, Diamond. I really appreciate that. You guys actually kicked off a hype train, which is very funny. Anyways, I should probably go through like the support credits real quick, and then we'll jump back to this. So I want to start with the elite partner Javier Lazaron, which is the highest tier of subscription over on Patreon and YouTube subscriptions. Followed by our partners Gabroli's Inc. and Matt Osgard. That's the next tier there. Followed by our supporters that are scrolling by the screen now. They are a combination of the other tiers of support over on YouTube memberships, Patreon, as well as Twitch subscriptions. So thank you all very much for that support. It means a great deal to me and helps me cover the cost of running this channel. Things like software licenses, hosting fees, paying a music producer, or a composer, rather. Things like that. So just a hint of what is to come, by the way, on that one. But anyways, yeah, thank you all very much for that. All of that gets reinvested into the channel. And with that, I would also like to say a large thank you to all of you guys, the viewers, whether you're joining us live on the YouTube side, the Twitch side, or if you're catching the VOD after the fact. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, because without you guys, this project and this channel would not exist. All right, so that was a heck of an intro. So thank you guys for that. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Tammin, you got promoted at your job. That's awesome. But wait a minute, you're saying it's brutal. So is that a bad thing that you got promoted, or is it a good thing but it means more responsibility? That sounds like a congrats, but I'm putting a question mark after that because I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Yeah, so the project is coming along good. I'll actually give you a quick visual tour here in a second because I know it's been a while since you've been here. So I will definitely get you caught up to speed on that. It is public, but it's Zig code. Generates the Zig files for the library. Imagine you can get it to generate C files as well. I will keep that open in a tab and have a look. Thank you for that, Diamond. Appreciate that. If I ever come to the point where I really need like all the fancy Unicode stuff, I may very well rely on that. All you need to do is give it the Unicode data files from their website, and it should generate lookup tables for graphing breaks and code point widths. That's awesome. Okay, pretty sweet. Yeah. So Tammin, I hope your promotion was a good thing. You're making it sound like it might not be, but hopefully that's not the case. All right. Let's go ahead and run this. So I'm running from the Shadows of Luna project itself. And I've done a lot of work. I actually have the test bed up and running again. So we're actually putting things back together, and I'm actually preparing to do the 0.11 release. So what we're looking at here is, I don't know how much of this you've seen. It's been a while since you've been here, but we put our animation system in. We've got a character running around. The character can jump. The character can walk or run, or have an animation that plays to swing a weapon. I don't have a weapon yet, but it's there. We've done a lot of fixes. We have a lot of fixes. We've improved lighting, improved sound generation, improved the way that everything looks. In general, just done a lot of fixing of various issues there. And the editor itself is actually under construction as well, and that's actually what we're working on now. So we actually have the beginnings of an editor. And so you can launch into this editor and sort of get a free camera mode. And so what we can do now is we can actually save it. We can go to the scene and we can rename the scene. We can set the fog color, which I need to add a lot more properties to this. That's the only one, but it's a quick visual example, right? So if I wanted to change the fog color to be more red, for example, I could do that very easily. We can select a specific entity out of the scene, and I did a lot of work on improving the selection and the movement of controls and things like that. And then we also have, which has now actually scrolled off the screen because I put something in there for a demo, we actually have a selection tree. And last stream, we were actually working on getting that to scroll. And I actually got that to work, but only sort of in an automated sort of update loop hacky type of way, just to show you guys that it actually works. So let me actually relaunch this and go back into the editor and quickly click the tree. And we can see here now that these are moving off into space, right? And the reason for that is because we are scrolling along the X and the Y axis at the same time. And why do we have an abort here? I did a bunch of memory fixes offline, but I might have actually broken something in the process. Let me just quickly look at that. Invalid chunk size. Okay, so something is foobar with that. I may have to look into that further. I don't know that I'm going to fix that tonight on stream. I think I'll just probably continue that in the future. But basically, what I've been doing offline is just some memory fixes. So there's a bunch of Valgrind stuff, or Valgrind, however you want to pronounce it, that I'm outputting here to a log. And so this is sort of my to-do list of all the things that aren't freed. And so I'm just kind of going through and freeing those. But I'm not going to work on that on the stream because that's super boring. I want to talk about the editor stuff that we're doing. So editor, we've got that, and actually what we really need is, instead of that, I also want the KUI, let's see, I guess I can call this, which thing do I want to look at first? Probably the scrollable. That was another thing we've done a decent amount of refactoring. So I refactored the last of the systems that really needs to be refactored, which was the UI system. It's no longer called the standard UI. It's called the Kohi UI or KUI. And that is, it just works with handles like most of the rest of the systems do. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. We're building the editor. And just to back up a little bit and go a little bit more of a macro perspective on this. So we're building a level editor now so that I can make levels to test the game logic that I'm about to make in, right? So we need the tooling to start creating zones, which is what we're creating now. And we already have the ability to save that in the editor and move and manipulate objects around the scene and all that stuff. We've already got all that. We're just building some of the additional tools around that. So we need to be able to easily import models and textures and things like that. And then from there, be able to obviously edit things in the scene and build out the world as needed. So that's kind of what we're in the middle of now. I'm building a tree view now, which let's see, scroll. Actually, I think that was in the editor. I want to say, yeah, here it is. So in our update, I was just kind of hard coding these, scroll X and scroll Y, just to make sure that those work, and they do. So I'm going to turn that off. And we will go ahead and relaunch this guy so that you guys can see what the tree looks like without it sort of sliding off to the side. So here's that. So we can actually, drill down into the hierarchy of the scene and, be able to select objects this way. And the whole reason we need a scroll, right, is because this list, obviously, when you expand everything, clips off past the bottom, right? So we need the ability to scroll that. And so that was sort of the next thing. We're going to need scroll containers for a lot of other stuff anyways, so we might as well do that. All right, so I hope that kind of gets you caught up. It's a pretty good thing. Very good opportunity as well. All right, that's awesome. I'm super happy for you, man. Congrats. You're a small team, you and your boss, and in March, he will be leaving the company, so you'll be alone. Oof. So high pressure then. I can understand that. It's a good opportunity because you'll be doing senior work without being a senior, but maybe another promotion's on its way. Yeah, fair enough. And also that will wind up being a good thing for, making you irreplaceable, I guess, right? Let's see. Are those big boxes for raycasts? Yes, they are. So what we're looking at here, you're talking about the red boxes. That is a visualization of the bounding volume hierarchy, right? So it's a little bit hard to tell with this many things in there, and actually I probably need to turn that off now. But yeah, those are for raycasts into the scene. Yep. Physics culling, we're not really going to have crazy physics, but yes, we can eventually use it for that as well. First time chatter Benny, how's it going? Had a question, how do you handle floor collision with a player and other physics objects? So we don't at the moment. So right now the only thing that we have is we're just moving in a flat plane. That's one of the next things that we're going to be able to, or that we're going to be implementing. So the movement system in this game is basically going to be what I call sort of platform based. And what that means is basically you're going to have several different platforms or many different platforms throughout a particular zone that you can move between. And you'll be bound to one single platform at a time. So it'll be basically a bit of geometry that exists in the world, generally not rendered. And that will basically say, this is what you're bound to, this is what you can move along. It'll have some height differentiation and cutouts for places that you shouldn't be able to walk and things like that. And then you'll be able to transition from one of those to another via some other sort of mechanic, whether it be a ladder or whether it be, a context sensitive jump to the next platform or something like that. So essentially it's going to be, at least in the beginning, Um, it's gonna be kind of a walking simulator if you think about it that way. So if you think about the most recent example I can think of is like God of War. Ragnarok works this way, right? You have the ability to sort of move freely within one of those platforms at a time, and you could fight stuff and all that other goodness. But to transition to sort of another one, you'll have to have some sort of context-sensitive action that you'll take. That's the route I'm taking initially. If that proves to be too cumbersome or not good enough, we'll change it, but that's at least what I'm going to stick to for now. So jumping is mostly going to be like a visual thing. There's not going to be a whole lot of utility to it, at least initially. But I am going to include it because running around and not being able to jump is kind of boring. But you are going to be limited as to where you go. Let's see. I think you saw a ground cube in the editor. Yeah, there's a bunch of test shapes in here, right? I actually have the fog turned way up right now just to sort of illustrate that as being a point. But yeah, so what we have is basically this large plane here is actually just water, right? So you can see that there. And then we've got a debug plane, and then within that we've got a whole bunch of objects. So I put this here just so that we'd have some sort of shadow somewhere, so that we could actually look at what this stuff looks like, lit without the sort of directional light influencing it. So that's why we have this here. Eventually, we'll have real things in there like tree canopies and stuff like that. But one thing at a time. Does Valgrind tag things in a frame arena as leaks? So I have the ability, and because Valgrind doesn't actually have that, and I actually need to build this in natively, but I have the ability in the memory system to use our custom memory allocator or not. And so when I go to run Valgrind on something, or Valgrind, I don't know how it's actually pronounced. When I go to run that, I will turn this off, as well as the custom Vulkan allocator, so that it uses your standard malloc under the hood. And that allows me to, because basically it's, it works the same way, right? But instead of, us allocating from a huge arena, it allocates from the OS, right? But it makes it so that Valgrind can actually detect it. And so things are obviously much better when we actually have our allocator on, because it's coming from, our pool of memory that we allocate ahead of time, and we don't have to keep using malloc, right? But I have the ability to turn that on and off. So whenever I do, these sort of Valgrind runs where I kind of go through and do cleanup, I turn it off. Eventually, what we're going to do, and I don't know if I'm going to do this on stream or not, because it's kind of a pain in the butt, but essentially what we're going to do, and the way that Valgrind works, is I'm going to have a separate table of all allocations that are made, allocations and frees, right? And so anytime that you allocate something from our custom arena, it's going to write an entry to that table, and it's going to keep track of every single allocation that we make. Now, obviously, there's overhead with that, right? Which there is with Valgrind as well. But I want to make it native into Kohi's memory management, so I don't have to use Valgrind. But that's, not a quick thing to write. I also need to have like an enhanced version of that to detect per frame memory leaks, right? So memory leaks that happen within the context of a frame, which Valgrind can kind of do, but not really. So, yeah. Frozen Shadow, good to see you. 2026 plans I have. For 2026, I have plans on getting back to programming. Maybe my engine will do a comeback. Awesome. Glad to hear it, man. Keep me posted, for sure. Missed having you around, for sure. Need to program a cards game where each card has its unique special ability. How can I handle that? A bunch of ifs and enums? No, that sounds like... I mean, are you talking from like a data structure perspective? Like, you probably need to have, a structure that represents each card, right? And then structures that represent the various abilities with functions if you need those things, right? Like it's kind of hard to answer that in like 30 seconds, right? But yeah, there's no one blanket, one size fits all solution to that. Sounds like there's a rewrite coming in your future, Tammin. Yeah, I would agree with that, Diamond. V20 amateur. You notice how my version numbers are very small with Kohi. And actually, things that should have been like, have you guys actually seen the changelog for 0.11? Like, this probably should have been like 2 or 3 different versions. This is all the stuff that is in 0.11. And I don't even think I've included everything here. So, yeah. Any dinguses in here? Yes, we're all dingai. Or she. We are all dingai. This is the dingus army. Just get piggy with it. Write something, even if it's inefficient, and play around with the outcome. As you write the code, the design will reveal itself to you. Exactly. Yep. And that's what we do here, for sure. Okay. What NeoVim theme is that? It looks good. So this is the... it's based on the old Adwaita theme, but it is not the old Adwaita theme because... let me just pull something up real quick. Because NeoVim and Tree Sitter had some upgrades within the past, I guess it's been about a year now, that broke the old Adwaita theme. So I actually had to branch or fork from that and make my own. Let me find it. Because the new version of it, here we go. So it's forked from this repository here. And that looks completely different than the way that mine has here. This person, they updated it, and I guess it's a little bit more true to the sort of GNOME Adwaita theme that existed before, but I actually kind of like the wrong version of it. And so I have this Adwaita NVim theme here. So I'll go ahead and link this in chat so that you have that. Let's see. Missed the on-air sign. Yes, I did. I almost always do, actually. Let me see. Where is the... There we go. I have to turn it way down in brightness. Otherwise it just completely whitewashes the screen. All right. Working on finalizing my 0.1 version of my engine. Just got tired of adding features and wanted a clean break for 0.2. Yeah, so that's essentially what we're doing with 0.11. Like 0.11 is actually a huge amount of changes. So yeah, I probably ought to think about maybe bumping that up a little bit more, but I don't know. It's still 0 dot, right? So does it really matter? Okay.
You dingus.
Looks pretty good. Thanks. Perfect. All right. Yeah. I like it. I'm pretty happy with it. I've gone in and tweaked it a little bit, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Let's see. Which physics engine are you using? We are not using a physics engine at all. When we go to write the physics for the game, and I say physics with air quotes, it's going to be very lightweight physics. It's going to be only what we need to simulate the game. So we're going to keep things as simple as possible. I'm not going to use any sort of library for that for this particular game because it doesn't really need it. From Lake, good to see you. Let's see. Good evening, lovely day today. Is there anything to code scene that you look forward to? Just curious. Lots of stuff. I actually want to get on with this editor stuff and finish the editor so that I can actually start... well, not finish it, but finish it for now, so that I can actually start building out levels, right? And building out levels so that we actually have something to play around with when we start actually writing all the gameplay systems. Probably the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write the movement system and get that down. And then immediately after that, I'm thinking I'm going to write the combat system. And then the NPC system after that, right? Like NPC interaction. Like those are the first few big things that I want to get in place. What if we want to implement a physics engine within Kohi, like Jolt or Bullet Physics? You would do it through a plugin. And I probably will be doing that at some point. I probably am going to use... I've heard that Jolt is pretty good at, although I've never used it. So I'll probably have one for... Jolt, maybe one for Bullet, maybe one for physics. But it would be a plugin, essentially. Wasn't even interested in doing the whole thing. The 0 dot thing, but I couldn't keep with all the features added without having to keep reviewing the list. Exactly, yeah. Do you need a physics engine if the game is top down, or is it for the engine side of things? Yeah, so that's the thing. I don't really need a physics engine for this, right? And so part of the idea of the architecture of the engine is that a lot of the things are plugins, right? So the renderer itself, the renderer backend is a plugin. The audio backend is a plugin. The entire UI system is a plugin. The editor is contained within this utils, which is a plugin. And so we'd have, a Kohi plugin PhysX or Bullet or whatever. And you can use it if you want to, and then don't use it if you don't want to, is kind of the idea. But yeah, I don't really think we need it. Well, I know we don't need it for this game, right? This isn't a physics-based game. It's an action RPG, and we can make our own physics system that is probably game specific. That doesn't need to be fancy. So, Dr. Elliott, good to see you as well. DLLs, yes. So DLLs, yes, but also in some cases linked statically, in some cases dynamic. So there are plugins that will rely on other plugins, and those are linked statically. But plugins that are just sort of that are just on their own are linked dynamically, or not linked at all. So the OpenAL plugin and the Vulkan plugin are completely dynamic. The KUI plugin is completely dynamic. The utils plugin statically links to the KUI because it uses the KUI, right? But it itself is loaded via app config dynamically by the engine. So yeah, it works pretty well. See a lot of OG names in here today. Yeah, there are a lot of OGs in here. I'm super happy with that. It's great to see you guys. Your beard is so full, do you ever consider cutting it into a razor sharp point? Doesn't work for me. I've tried it before. It looks like ass. It's not a good look. 2026 will be the year of Kohi. Hopefully. We're going to get as far as we can get with the game. which, speaking of which, I probably ought to do some freaking coding, right? Really like the plugin setup. Probably going to end up using it for my game engine. Yeah, it works super well. Now that I've actually like ironed all of the things out of it, it works really well. Feel free to, you know, have a look through the source code and, you know, steal what you need. I will say, though, look in the 0.11 source code because it's changed significantly from 0.10. Okay, so what we actually need to do tonight is there's actually a few things that we need to get implemented. One of those things, let me actually just... Let me just bring this up to illustrate those points so we can talk about this visually. So within the editor, when we have the tree view open, we need the ability to scroll this, right? When this expands beyond the point of us being able to render everything down here, right? Because it's clipping down here, which is what we want. So when the content... the size of the content has grown beyond the size of the sort of scroll container size that we have here. We need to make the scroll bar appear. That's going to be the first thing, right? And so what we're essentially going to have is a flag internally that says, you know, if it can be scrolled on the x-axis or the y-axis. And the answer to that question is basically going to be a comparison of the content of that versus the actual outer bounds of it, right? And so based on that, that will also answer whether or not a scroll bar shows, whether or not we actually respond to mouse wheel events on it, and things of that nature. So that is what we need to answer now. And I want to say we have Y offsets. And I think we actually, when we do tree setup node, refresh, here we go. So this accumulated Y offset is actually kind of gives us our answer, right? So the way that this works is whenever we do a refresh on the tree item expansion, that is automatically triggered when we open and close items on the tree. We essentially keep a accumulated Y offset because we have to know based on whether or not you know, those parent nodes are open or not, how far to move sort of the next controls down. So this is at the top level of all of that. So what we have here is we have the item expansion R, which is the accumulated Y offset, and that is called by refresh tree expansion. So this Y offset is really, I guess, not totally accurate. We should probably say, we could probably rename this also to accumulated Y. Actually, let's just go accumulated height, right? Because it's not really an offset at this scope, it's total height, right? Now we can calculate width later, but we're just going to start off with height. So what we actually need is a way to then tell the scrollable container, hey, this is what the size of all of the content within your scrollable area is. Now this is sort of a precursor to automatically calculating that stuff in the future, but for now we're just going to manually calculate it and tell the control this is what that is. So what we'll do is, I guess we'll go to the header file and we'll do a KAPI, and we'll say we don't need a return type of any kind, so we can just say KUI scrollable set content dimensions, content size. Yeah, content size, I guess, works. So we want the KUI state, obviously. KUI control, the control itself. And then I guess what we can do is we'll do a F32 width and F32 height. And I'm not going to split this into two separate calls because this is going to cause some stuff to be recalculated, and I don't think we need separate calls for this. If we do, I'll come back and add it, right? So we'll go down here to the bottom of the C file and we'll paste this in. I'll scroll this up so you guys can see it. And we'll come over here, and what we're going to do is we actually need to go ahead and grab all of this stuff. Right? And what we can do is we're actually going to store this in the bounds of the container base, right? So we can say container base bounds, and then we'll do height equals height, and then container base bounds width equals width. Okay? And then we can just, kind of use what's already there, since we're not using that for anything else, to determine whether or not it's capable of scrolling. So what we then need to do is determine if we can scroll in any direction and show that scroll bar. Okay, so we're only going to worry about the y-axis for now. We can easily add an x-axis scroll later. The other thing that I want to do, though, really quickly, is I do just want to expose a quick check, right? So KUI scrollable can scroll y, and all that's going to take, all that's going to take is these couple properties here. So we'll have that, and we'll have a second one for x, right? So we'll take these and we'll put them down here also at the bottom. And all these are going to do is they are going to, they are going to do a comparison. What do I keep hitting? Oh, my caps lock is on like a dingus. Okay. So all they're going to do is basically just run a comparison against the, the container base versus the scrollable base, or the base bounds, right? So we're going to need both of those things again. And we're going to do return. And essentially, being able to scroll in the X means that container base bounds width is greater than the base bounds width, and that's it, right? That's literally how simple it is. There we go. And so we do the same thing for heights for y. Pretty straightforward stuff. And so, let's see, did I put that? Yeah, I did put them in the right order. Okay. So, I guess we don't really need to store this as a property, right? Because we could just get it at any point very quickly and very easily. So I think probably what we should do is we'll just do a query right here. And actually, we'll say, if KUI scrollable can scroll y, states self, right? Then we will go ahead and show the y scroll bar. All right, now we haven't created that yet, so we're going to need to do that. And my thought process behind that is we are basically just going to use a panel, which I think we actually might have already put in. Let me see. So if we take a look at the type, we actually have a scroll bar background, up button, down button, and a thumb button. Now, we are going to have 2 scroll bars, right? So it actually makes sense for us, in this case, to take all of these controls and split them out into a separate control that owns these things. Because we're going to have to do this twice, right? So what we'll do is we will go ahead and say type def struct, and we're just going to say KUI scroll bar. And actually, I don't think we're going to create a control over it, right? We're just going to have this as just a structure, right? And it's just going to hold this stuff, right? Because I don't think there's any need for us to actually create a control here. What we will do, though, is we will keep a KUI control. Actually, I guess we should probably do... We actually should probably do... Let's forward declare this. Right, because the scroll bar is not going to be something that we're going to use outside of this. So we want to maintain a pointer. So we'll say KUI scrollable control. Right, we actually want a pointer to that, right? Because we don't want to have to go like looking it up or anything like that. So we'll do background. Let's see. We have up button here. But it could be left or right as well. So up and left are going to be the same thing, and down and right are going to be the same thing. So I think we're going to do forward and backwards seems weird for naming. How should I name that? I guess anonymous union with upright. Yeah, I was thinking that, but like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. Am I still at the medical software job? No. Are you farbing Ara with this beard? I don't think so. Well, I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Have you looked into resolution independent positions for widgets? About to that point because of saving loading. So when you say resolution independent positions, I see that as sort of, you can have something anchored to like the right side of the screen, and as you increase the screen, it sort of moves over to the right. Is that what you mean? Because we're doing that manually right now. We're going to use, we're going to implement something called anchor, which is going to do that for us automatically at some point. We just don't have it yet. So it'll be, anchor will be top left or top right or bottom left or center. I guess it'd be center middle, right? I'll sort of follow what CSS is defined there as far as that goes, but we're going to call it anchor is essentially what we're going to do. And then you'll be able to offset from that. So you'll be able to say, I want this anchored to the top right, but I want it, positioned 10 pixels down and 10 pixels from the right. Dingustev, thank you for the lurk. Appreciate that. Do you ever consider letting a bird build a nest in your beard so you have a cool side character? I am not Saz from Final Fantasy 13. So no. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Let me find an image of it real quick. It was, see if I can find a really good picture of it. Yeah, this will work, I guess. So this guy from Final Fantasy 13 had a chocobo in his hair, which was pretty epic, right? I think that's what you're referring to. But if you're not, it's a very funny coincidence either way. Okay. So, I mean, I could do a union, but that feels... Do we have positive / negative scroll? Forward, backward. I just feel like the union is going to just make it kind of confusing. Let's go with... increment and decrement button. Right? Or I guess it should probably be the opposite of that, right? So this one will be up or left, right? Because you decrement the scroll. And then this one will be down or right, because you increment the scroll. I think that makes sense. Probably not really a hot take here, but that chocobo in the hair might have been the best part of Final Fantasy 13. You know, I don't disagree. There were a few things I liked about it, but yeah, that probably, when I saw that really took the cake for me, for sure. All right, so let's do KUI scroll bar, and we're going to do scroll bar Y. Right, and we'll do also, we'll do scroll bar X, but I'm going to comment it out for now. Right, so this is going to be basically just managed by this stuff. So it'll just kind of make it a little bit easier for us to deal with, right? Because now I can just say scroll bar Y dot background or dot whatever. So let's go to the create, and we're going to go ahead and create these things ahead of time. So I think what we're going to use for the background is just a simple panel, right? So we're going to do KUI panel control create. We want states, the name. Crap, we're going to have to format that. So let's just grab this. And we'll do scroll Y name. And we'll just do scroll Y. And so scroll Y name. The size of this, now eventually we're going to want this to be configurable, but I think for now it's perfectly reasonable for us to hard code this, right? So let's go ahead and say we want it 20 pixels by, and we're going to have to resize this as the window resizes anyway. So we'll say 20 by 100, right? We'll go with that. And then the vec4 color, which we should probably be using a color for, but whatever. Let's go ahead and do vec4, and we're going to go with like a, I guess we could go with a light gray for like a medium gray, I guess, for now. So we'll do 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and then we want it to be non-transparent. Or I guess we could make it a little bit transparent. right? We'll do like 0.8 or something with a to-do configurable BG color. And then we also need to do string free scroll Y name. Okay. So this is going to wind up being typed control scroll bar Y background, right? So we're going to create that first. But the first thing that we're going to do is we are immediately going to set typed control scroll bar Y background. Oh, I guess we can actually just do KUI panel or KUI control set visible. Why is my IntelliSense not working? Sometimes I actually have to like open the file to get it to work, which is really friggin' annoying. I did add, yeah, set is visible. Okay. So, yeah, we'll just do KUI control set is visible. And for the states, we just want states. And then we will take the control and then we'll do, whoops, and then we'll do false, right? Because we don't want that displaying initially. Okay, we can actually move this down here. So what we'll do is we'll go back down here and we'll do if you can scroll in Y, then all we're going to do for right now is we're going to show the background, right? So we'll just do true in there. The other thing we're going to do is resize. We're always going to keep the scroll bars resized as to what they should be. We'll do a KUI panel set height states, and then we'll do a let's see, do we have typed control in here? We don't. So let's go ahead and grab that. Oh, I guess I had it commented here. All right, good enough. So we need typed control scroll bar Y background, right? And then height is just going to be the new size Y. So we're always going to keep that up to date, even if it's not visible, right? That way, when we update the scrollable content, we don't have to sort of recalculate that on the fly as well. Okay. So I suspect that should work. Oh, you know what we didn't do though? We did not set the position. We should probably do that. And actually we're going to have to set the position in the resize too. So, actually, are we? Yeah, we are. So let's see. We want to do essentially size X minus the width that we're going for, right? So, I guess what we should probably do, we should probably set up like scroll bar width. I feel like that's a property that we're going to be referencing often enough. We probably ought to go ahead and just store it. So that is going to be irrespective of which scroll bar we're talking about. So let's go ahead and just put, should I make this a float or, yeah, let's make it a float. We'll do scroll bar width. Probably going to have some other properties like that too. Let's see. Let's also do, so we'll do typed control, scroll bar width equals, 20. and then to do configurable, right? And then here, instead of hard coding this down here, we'll do typed control scroll bar width, right? And then when we do resize, oops, do we do, let's see, no, I need to set the position still. KUI control position sets states typed control scroll bar Y background vector 3 position. So we're going to want vec3, and then we're going to want it so we're going to want it size.x minus typed control scroll bar width, right? And we're not going to like account for any padding or anything like that. We can always add that later. And then from the y-axis, we want that to be 0, and the same with z. We're not using z, right? So we need that as well. So when we do resize, if we resize the scrollable content, we could also resize it, on both axes. So we need to account for that. So all we do here is just say new size x, and that should cover us, right? So let's see if this works. So essentially, we should be able to come in here to the editor and expand these various nodes. And the minute we get to the point where we expand out the bottom, where is it? Oh, forgot something. Like a dingus, I created the control but did not add it to. I did not add it as a child. So this control needs to be added to the parent, right? So we want to add it to handle, and then the thing we're going to add is scroll bar Y background. Okay, let's actually do that first thing right away. We want it added to the scrollable container, not the content, right? Because we don't want it scrolling with the content. Probably should have picked like something that was sized a little bit better for this, I suppose, but here we are. All right, why are we not getting... Did I forget to... Oh, I don't actually know if I set the content. I think we actually created the function, but I don't know if we actually ever called it. We did not. That would be part of the problem. So we need KUI scrollable set content size. So this is going to be state. The control is going to be, let's see, state. Set content size. Let me double check that I did the right thing in here while I'm thinking about it. I want to make sure that we actually got the right control in here. So set content size. Okay, we did do the container base. Okay, perfect. All right, so we need state tree scrollable control. And then for width, we're just going to set this to states tree inspector width, and then the height is what matters, right? So the accumulated height is what we actually want there. Oh, and I think this needs to be state. KUI state. This probably would have been a little easier to test on a smaller window, but here we are. All right, so expand all these. There we go. So it's showing up there now. It's not exactly positioned where I wanted it, but it's pretty dang close, right? So we can see the minute that we go over that, that scroll bar shows up. And the minute we go under it, it should go away, although it's not for some reason. Oh, and I know why, actually. So that's actually going to be easy enough to fix, but... So it looks like it's okay on the... Oh, did I do -10 instead of minus... I think I hard-coded it. I think that's why. All right, let me go to resize, because I think I did -10 here, didn't I? No, I did minus scroll bar width. Position set, but that's going to be... Is the panel centered? New size X. Are panel controls centered? I didn't think they were. I thought they were top left justified. All right, let me come back to that. The first thing I want to fix is whether or not this should show, right? So when we do when we set the content size, right? Let's split this out, or actually, yeah. Excuse me. We'll do B8, Y visible is equal to that, right? And then, oops. And then here we'll just do Y visible, right? So that should turn it on or off. The other thing is in the resize. So when we do the resize, I don't quite, I guess let's get our answer to that. Let's not guess. When we go to, let's go to our panel. And when we create, when we generate the quad, we have the bounds width and the bounds height is what's passed to that, right? So if we go in here to generate quad, TX and that's texture coordinates. Let's see, what do we want here? Yeah, that is what we're doing. The extents, we are centering it. I don't know if that's what I want to actually do for panels or not. It's going to break some stuff if I change it, though. Because it should be... We probably ought to have like an option when we generate the quad to say, you know, centered or left, up, left justified, right? Oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, interesting. We're creating the extents one way, but we're creating the positions another way. Well, that's wrong. Either way, that's wrong. Okay. I'm going to put a fix me in here, and we're going to come back to this later. Extents above are based on half width, half width height, but this is 0 based. Pick one, you dingus. Ah. Okay. So I'm just going to pretend like I didn't see that and move on. So I guess what I'll do here is, since we have the scroll bar width, I'm just making sure that I didn't actually do anything stupid up here. So we do that here, control panel create. Okay, yeah, I don't think we did anything else stupid in here anyways. So we will take, I guess when we resize, we'll do this times 2. Seems kind of dumb. It is kind of dumb, but it's what we're going to do for now until I fix that. And I don't feel like fixing it on stream tonight. So let me just test this one more time. There we go. Okay, so that showed up, and then it should go away. Yeah, okay, perfect. So the minute that exceeds the bounds, our scroll bar shows up. So we can use that for lots of other things as well, that query, including responding to wheel scrolls. So I think what I want to do next is probably create the little buttons at the top and the bottom, because those are nice and easy, and we can use those to, scroll this. And then maybe I'll make the thumb button next. We'll have to figure out exactly how we want to position that, because there are several different ways to do it. And I don't think I'm going to program the interactivity for that just yet, but we'll see. Okay, so let's go ahead and I guess we'll create the now I am actually considering making a scroll bar control, because it might make this a little bit easier. But like, this is the only place it'll ever get used, so I don't know that abstraction makes sense. All right, let's do, so we'll do typed control, scroll bar Y, and we'll do the decrement button first. So that'll be the button at the top. And we're going to do a KUI button create with text. We're going to use text for now. So we'll do state, and then name. We're going to have to do this again. So we'll do scroll Y, deck name. I can't type tonight, apparently. Scroll Y, deck name. Font type is going to be, don't we have, oh, I think we stored that in the editor, didn't we? Should I be bad and just hard code that here? It seems kind of poopy. But we're going to be replacing this with styles anyway. What do you think? Do I want to... Well, so for the first thing is going to be font type system is going to be the first thing we're going to want. The font name, let's just go ahead and just do this, right? That is the font we're using for everything else. We'll just paste it here. And then the font size, we'll go ahead and do 30 again. And then the text content is actually going to be just, we'll just use a caret for now, right? Because we don't have like images for this just yet. We don't have image buttons. And so this is not going to matter because eventually we're going to have image buttons. And we're going to use images out of the atlas. So this is just a temporary hack. Using font, or I guess text button until the image button is created. Right? So I'm not really going to worry about that too much for now. We're just going to sort of hack it and deal with it later. So we do need to add this as a child control. We do need to set visibility, and we do need to set position. So we need all of those. And also we need to do a string free so that we don't leak the memory. Right? So string free scroll y deck name. Sure. In fact, we could probably just use this same variable over and over again, to be honest. Let's actually just do that, because that's... Let's actually just do that. Let's see. Let's just do that. Wrong button, you dongus. There we go. All right. So we will set the child we're going to be adding is going to be the deck button. Same is going to be true for the visible. We're going to turn that off. And the position set is going to be set against that. Let's see. We also are going to need to set the size of the control. So KUI button control width set. We'll go ahead and do states. The handle to it is going to be type control, scroll bar Y, deck button, and then the width is going to be type control, scroll bar width. And I guess technically we could set the height to the same thing. Sure. Why not? Because it's going to be kind of the opposite in the other direction anyways when we go to make the X one, right? So we'll just set the width and the height both to that. I'm not 100% sure if this position is going to be correct or not, but let's go ahead to resize. And just like the scroll bar background, we are always going to maintain the resize. The only thing we have to do here, though, is we just have to set the position. So this is just going to be new size X. And I don't know if we're going to have to do the ×2 thing. We'll have to check that out and see. So we have that, and then whenever we have the Y visible, right, we can also update that for the deck button. So let's check and see what that looks like. All right. I think I am going to shrink this window because having to expand these every single time to test it is kind of annoying. All right, well, there's the button there, and that's way too small. It is there, but for some reason, yeah, and its position is just wrong as well. Let me expand this. Yeah, its position is completely hosed. Okay. So let's see, set content size. That is fine. It's this that's going to be wrong. So, let's see. Let me think through why that scroll bar button size is wrong. I think it's wrong because technically the graphic we're using is nearest neighbor and it's getting scaled up. And if we weren't doing that, it would probably look better. So I think what I'm going to do is when we go to resize, I'm going to stick with this quote unquote formula here, because I think that is probably going to at least put it in the right position. The other thing I'm going to do really quickly is, let's see, when we do a scrollable control resize, we are doing that to the window heights minus some stuff. So basically setting it to the same thing as the panel height. So I'm going to change this up real quick. Let's just do an F32. It's just going to be hack, right? Tree bottom offsets, and we're gonna set this to something like 220, right? And this is hack hard-coded offset. We're eventually going to use anchor for this, right? But for now, this is kind of how we're doing it. So tree bottom offset and tree bottom offset. Might make it a little easier to test. And I need to catch up on chat. So let me just test this really quickly and then we'll catch up on chat. Oops. Load the scene first, then editor. Okay. So I should just now be able to expand. That's still pretty large, actually. All right, but at least this is in the correct place. The height is still wrong, but yeah, I think the button graphic that we're using here is just not going to quite do it for us. Right, it works for these guys, but I think we might need to rethink our button style here a little bit. Because I should be able to make a button that's, pretty small here. I think the font size is also part of the problem now. But yeah, obviously the button is way too small. All right, let me see. Let me back up and catch up with chats. Digging the theme of your IDE, where can I get it? I actually had put that in chat earlier. Let me see if it's still there or if I need to... Actually, do I still have the window open? Maybe I do. Kind of doubt it, but... No, I don't think I do. Here it is. Here is the theme that I'm using. Let's see. Gotta leave, gotta wake up early tomorrow, and it's already midnight here. Have a nice stream. All right, good to see you, Taman. Sorry I didn't catch that earlier. I hope you're still there. If you're not, it was great having you here. As for the resolution independence, I meant if on a 4K screen and a 720p screen, the stuff shows the same. Oh, you're talking about, okay, so you're talking about UI scaling. That is something we need to take into account at some point. We do actually have some of that stuff conceptually built in to the engine, although it is highly platform dependent. It is not consistent. So, for example, the windowing system I'm using here on Linux does not seem to give me that information reliably, at least on X. I need to do a Wayland implementation of that as well. But on Windows or Mac OS, when I move to a different monitor, I can actually tell whether it's a high DPI monitor or not. And I can actually scale resolution. So we actually have something called device pixel ratio, which is what tells us the pixel density of the display that we're using. And that is working on Windows and Mac OS. So I'm going to use that to essentially get this to display consistently across everything. I think Wayland might actually be, or I should say X Wayland on here on KDE might be doing some of that heavy lifting for me, but I don't necessarily want it to. So I am going to have to figure that out for Linux. But on Windows and Mac OS, thankfully, I do have the reporting available to be able to switch that up. So essentially what I'm going to wind up doing is essentially scaling the components to match that pixel density. And then as far as the font goes, I will increase the size of the font by the pixel density. So if you have a pixel density of 1, which is your typical regular screen, it's going to be the font size is the font size. If you're on like a 4K screen that has a pixel density of 2, for example, because of the way you have your UI set up, then it'll multiply that by 2. If you're on like a Retina display, it'll be closer to 3, if not 3. And that way you get smooth fonts all the time. Always wondered how to implement scrolling. What is the basic idea behind it? So there's several components to scrolling, right? So there's the scroll bar, obviously, which is what we're building now, and then there's the mouse wheel, right? But all of those things ultimately modify a transform. So essentially, what you have is you have your outer control that defines your box, right? And anything that is outside that box gets clipped, right? And then within that control, you have another transform that's your content. And the content is what you move back and forth, right? So your fixed window stays still, and then your content moves back and forth. And anything that isn't showing up there gets clipped, right? And then you use the scroll bar to, or the mouse wheel to shift how much that transform is affecting. Snuggle Steak, how's it going? Good to see you. Clipping how only what is needed. What do you mean by that? Like a chop box, bottom would be the end, and the start would be max lens minus max lines clipped at 0. Lens equals lines. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of doing that already. We're cheating a little bit, but we're doing that with the drop down up here. Where all we're doing here is we're basically just displaying 10 lines at a time, and we're just switching what those lines are in the text box, right? So that it depends on what you're doing, right? But proper true scrolling like this is a little bit more tricky to implement because you have to have, that stencil clipping and so forth. Are you using VK present mode FIFO by default as the present mode? Recently switched away from it on Windows to Mailbox for more stable frames. Yeah, so if I have the ability to turn VSync on or off. So if I have VSync off, then I do FIFO. And if I turn VSync on, then I use whatever's available, right? If Mailbox mode is available, I'll use that. All right. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. Now I'm checking the comments on YouTube. Let me just catch up there. Did you see my question about episode 24.5? Did you ask that in here, or did you ask it on the video itself? On the Kohi series channel. Oh, in Discord? No, I have not seen that yet then. I'll take a look at it. Realistically, probably not tonight, because once I am done streaming, I usually go pass out in bed unless it's quick, but I will try to get to it tomorrow at the latest. Also, CS student trying to make my engine using Vulkan and got stuck. Not able to implement a GUI system. Looked for some libs, but they don't support my custom windowing lib. Write your own, right? It's the best way to learn how it works. Make your own from scratch. Try a bunch of different stuff. Feel free to use, whatever you see in Kohi as an example, but use what is in the 0.11 branch as your reference if you're going to do that. In short, the linear allocator using kallocate stats has been moved from heap to stack, and before created linear alloc memory don't have tags. Right, yeah, if you use the linear allocator, that memory is not tagged. There's no purpose in doing that. Because with the arena allocator, I plan to use those tags to move allocations of different types within different buckets. I haven't done that yet, but that's the plan for that. But for a linear allocator, it doesn't make sense to do that. Any tips on learning engine dev? Web devs are not super familiar with graphics programming, but would love to learn for fun. So if you want to learn graphics programming, the best way to start is OpenGL, and check out Learn OpenGL. Get familiar with OpenGL, and then jump to Vulkan after that. But as far as writing an entire engine, you're going to need to know about all the systems that go into that, and for that, I swear I should get like royalties or something for this, how much I recommend this book, but you're going to want to check out Game Engine Architecture by Jason Gregory, 3rd edition. It's the most recent edition of it. It's a thick book, right? It's at least 2 C's thick, maybe 3, I don't know. But it's a fantastic resource on game engine architecture and all the various systems that go into it. And it's got a primer on a lot of that stuff, so it's very useful. Let's see. Okay. Would not take on Vulkan as a first dive into graphics engineering. Definitely don't do that. You will get frustrated and you will quit. I guarantee you that. All right. I'm just going to extend the height of this and maybe change the font for now. And then I'm going to rethink these button textures later. But I really want to move on and get the increment button done so that we can actually get the thing scrolling back and forth. So let us do that. We'll go here, and we want essentially the same thing all over again. So I'm actually going to copy pasta this. I don't normally agree with doing this, but in the interest of time, ink button, let's see. I think those can be, we'll come back to that actually. So increment button, increment button, increment button, increment button. Okay. Now, for this, we actually need the height of the control, right? So we need the base bounds height minus, and we're going to do typed control scroll bar width for now. right? So we'll just offset it by that much at the bottom. Okay, so that's going to be that. Also, I did want to change the font size of this because that's a little bit too big. 30 doesn't really make sense on a button that is already 20 pixels. So let's do like 15. And we'll see how that works. I don't think it's really going to show up too well because I am on a 4K display. So, we'll have to figure that out. But let's see. Okay, so that's the scroll increment button. When we do the position set for the resize, we're going to need to do the increment button here. And again, this is going to be new size X, so that's fine. This just, we need to change the Y to be new size dot Y. And then we want minus typed control scroll bar width. We might have to do ×2 here. I'm just going to do ×2 because I suspect we're going to need it. So we'll do that, and then the last thing we need to affect is the visibility. So we want to do this same bit, but with the increment button, okay? And what I also think we should do, well, you know what, let's just run this. Let's see if it looks correct, and then we'll hook up events to it so that we can actually see it scroll back and forth. All right, so here we go. We'll expand these things. Okay, yeah, so the Y offset is wrong, but I can fix that. Okay. All right, so let's just have this. We'll just do that for now. All right, so let's go ahead and hook up some. Let's go ahead and hook up some events to this. Let's see. I think we already have. Don't we have? I actually want the. I just want this function signature here really quickly. All right, so we're going to go to the bottom, and we're going to define. And this is going to be a static function. We don't need it to be publicly accessible. Instead of toggle unclicked, we're going to say increment Y unclicked, right? So we'll have one for increment and then one for decrement. Right? And all we're going to do is we are just going to call. Let's see. So actually we need to do a couple things here. So that's going to be on the button that is a child of. So we should be able to get the parent. Okay, so let's go ahead and do KUI. Yeah, I guess actually we could just copy this bit here actually. So we're gonna get the base of the button, right? So this is gonna be the button base. And then from the button base, we'll be able to say what is the parent, right? So KUI control parents equals parents, and then we can go ahead and do KUI system get base states and then parent, right? And then the parent is the KUI scrollable control, right? So we can get typed control from that. Instead of base, we're going to do parent, right? So that's going to, oops, we need We need KY base control, parent base. So we want parent base here. Okay. Here we can then just say we actually just want to scroll. So we want to do KUI scrollable. Not can scroll Y. We want control scroll Y. So we do state, and then the control itself is going to be parent. Actually, I don't even know if I need that. Or that, rather. I might not need either one of those. And we're just going to hard code an amount here, right? We're going to say, let's just do, so the decrement, the way it's going to work is whenever you scroll up, and actually I'll bring down a page for this, right? So let's just say our scroll bar is here, right? So whenever you click the up button, what that's going to do is that's going to change the offset. It's going to basically set the offset a little bit negative, right? Which is why we're saying decrement, right? So what we want to do is we want to change that by a negative amount. So we're going to say negative, I don't know, 5, for example. We'll scroll it by negative 5. And then return, let's see. I think it was return false. Tree item. Yeah, return false. Okay. Okay, so I think that is actually all we need. So we'll do false for that one, or negative for that one, and positive for the increment, right? And we can set this, we can, not hard code this and set parameters and make it configurable on all that stuff. But I just want to see it working. So when we go here, we open this up, and we will expand this. Oops. Expand this a little further. Expand that, right? So now I should be able to click this, and it should. Am I missing something here? Is 5 just not enough? Or am I doing this on the wrong control, is the real question. Let's go and debug it. So KY scrollable. We'll go all the way to the bottom. Whoops. And I'm going to, it's dingus oriented programming is what it is. We set up the functions, we didn't hook them up. That tends to help. All right, so what we'll do is KUI control, or I guess we have to do KUI button. Didn't we? Where was that? Tree item. Oh, we literally did it that way. I thought I had an event or a function to do that. All right, fine. We'll do it this way. It's just as well. Do I want to actually do it that way, though? Feels kind of dirty, but So it's not toggle base. We do need to get... I'm not a huge fan of this. All right. I could have swore we had a function for this. Hold on. We do. It's right there. So I don't have to do all this. All right. This states typed control scroll bar Y decrement button, and then this. Right. And then same thing down here, but for the increment button. Now, the reason it doesn't like those is because they are static, but they're defined all the way down here. So I need to go to the top and put them up here. All right, and that should be... That should hopefully get our scrolling working. At least partially. All right, so expand, expand, expand. All right. I'm just going to do all of this for good measure. And now, oh, I do have it backwards. I was wondering about that, but we can see that we are able to scroll back and forth. Now, obviously, we need to bound this, right? Because we don't want to be able to scroll past a certain point. That doesn't make any sense. So we do have those backwards. So let me flip those. I had a feeling that these were backwards. All right. And let me actually just set the bottom offset here. Let's see. So panel set heights. Yeah, let's set this a little bit higher. So let's just do like 420. Let's make that window really small, right? Just to make it very obvious. Okay, so we expand these. Great. Now if I click down, it scrolls down as we expect, right? Obviously, you probably want to fine-tune how much it actually scrolls, but there's the basic idea of scrolling, right? So the only other thing that we need to do is we need to now put that sort of thumb button in here that indicates to us where on the scroll bar that we are. And there's two ways that we can do that. There's kind of the simple yet crappy way of doing it, which would be to just have the bar or the thumb button be the same size no matter how much overflow there is, and just have it move from top to bottom. And that's certainly the simplest implementation. Or we could have the actual bar scroll to how much, or scale rather, to how much overflow we have, which I think is a little bit better. That's the way that most operating systems do it, to give you an idea of how big the scroll bar is and how much scrollable content there is, and so forth. So what I mean by that is, if we take a look at this GitHub page, you can see how big this scroll bar is here, right? And if I shrink the window, see how much smaller that gets because you have that much further to scroll, right? So it's really just relative. This size is essentially relative to the difference between your scrollable window area and your scrollable content. And you scale it accordingly to the space between just below this arrow and just above this arrow. And if that's ever 1, then that means you don't have to scroll at all, which case you would just hide it, right? And then, of course, dragging, top to bottom, we just scale those things accordingly too. And that's all that there really is to do for that. So that we'll probably handle in the next stream, or I might even do that offline and just kind of go over it later. because I don't want to spend too much time on this. The only other thing is that we need to really hook up is also the mouse wheel. So we do want to have the mouse wheel actually respond to this. And I actually think we might be able to put something in really quickly to get that to work as sort of a hack. We are not going to want to do it at this level permanently, but I think as a quick demo of like how you would implement this. Let's see. All right, I want this function signature. And I'm just going to go down here to the bottom, and what we're going to do is we're going to say on scroll wheel, right? And the event code is going to be, I think it was mouse wheel, something like that. I don't fully remember. And then return false. Let's see. So event context. I don't think we have the event system in here. Now we do. I think it was mouse wheel, wasn't it? Yes, and the data is, the Z delta is I8 sub 0. So we'll do I8, and we're going to say delta, and we'll just do context data I8 sub 0. Okay, and what this will do is we'll essentially take that and multiply it, or maybe just use it directly for the scroll, right? So we can say the event context, let's see, the event context, we're going to need, let's see, the listener is going to be probably the button base. So I think we can just go ahead and grab that. We'll set that up as the listener. Let's actually move that down here. Make sure you guys can see that. And then, so, actually, no, wait. No, we can't do that, can we? We have to do... So we need two things in the event context. So our event context can hold a bunch of different things. And that's not really what I want, though. Let me think. What's the best way to do this? So we need both the UI state and we need the button itself. So I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to do the same hack that we did with the text box, which we're going to have to fix here as well. So we did this for keyboard entry there, but here we're going to actually have to do this for mouse wheel. Is on the typed control. We are going to have to store a pointer to the UI state. And I think I need a struct tag on that. And this is a hack. Use proper KUI events so we don't have to do this. Oops. All right. But for now, typed control KUI states equals state. Right, so we'll have that, and then we can pass along as the listener we can pass along the control itself. So we could just do listener inst. So we will need this, and we'll need to go up here. When we get all the way down here, when we're done creating stuff and we know we've been successful, we'll do event register. The event code is going to be event code mouse wheel. The listener is going to be typed control. And then we are going to have on mouse wheel, which we don't have accessible here because we haven't for declared it at the top. So let's put that here. All right. So didn't I call it on mouse wheel? Oh, on scroll wheel. Should be on mouse wheel. Yeah, I'm going to rename that. On mouse wheel. Okay. So the state is actually going to be button base state. Oops, state, not button base. We want the typed one, not base. We want this. Typed control KUI state. And then parents is also going to be, that's going to be typed control base handle. And then we're actually just going to convert the delta to an F32. We're just going to use it directly. All right. And so we may have to invert that. I'm not 100% sure, but this is a quick hack, right? This is basically going to always pick up mouse wheel events, which is bad, right? And it's not constrained to the control itself, right? So we need to actually do this the correct way, but this is a dirty hack for now. We'll pick up all mouse wheel events. But I just wanted to sort of, put this together really quickly so that you guys could actually see this working with the mouse wheel. So I should be able to run this now, and hopefully, if I've done everything right, I should be able to. Did I not hook something up? Let me debug. I might not have done everything right. It's possible. Likely, I would even say, yeah, it's not even picking up on the event. I did register for that, didn't I? Event code mouse wheel. Why is that not doing the thing? Let's do input process mouse wheel. Let's see, let's do it in event fire. I could have swore I had this working, but I don't know if I've actually ever tested this. Because I don't know if I've used the mouse wheel for anything yet. So let's see, 298. So right here, put a breakpoint right there. Yeah, I'm moving the mouse wheel and it's not doing anything. Okay. So input process mouse wheel does not seem to do anything. I wonder if I've not implemented it on this platform. That is possible, because I could have swore I had it working on Windows, but I'll bet I forgot to do it for Linux. Mouse wheel. Let's see, platform register process mouse wheel callback. Process mouse wheel. I don't see that actually being used anywhere though. We register it. Process mouse button gets used. That would be the issue. Did I do this on Win32? Process mouse wheel. Yep. So I guess I didn't put it in for Linux. Sweet. Well, that's a hell of a way to make a demo spoiled. Okay, so let's see if we can't figure this out really, really fast. Process mouse. Let's do mouse move, right? Where is that? Motion notify. XCB button press release. Key release. Motion notify. What else is in here? Button release. Focus in. Oh, some of those things might be useful, but wheel, scroll wheel. Okay, those are button indices. I'm not really worried about the... Oh, don't tell me they don't have something in here for it. There's no way.
You dingus.
Incidentally, these are not my to-dos. These are to-dos in XCB. XCB. Scroll wheel event in X11. Oh, wait a minute. Are they saying... Scroll wheel. Okay. I'm reading that these are actually like... It's mapped to a mouse button, so I'm guessing 4 and 5 are like... Is one of them scroll up and scroll down? Because they have that to-do direction. So if I do... Let's try this real quick. Okay. Let's say... Because I don't want to... Crap. Okay. So... I guess we'll do... So 1, 2, and 3 are the regular mouse buttons. So I guess we'll say if mouse event detail is less than or equal to XCB button, whoops, button index 3, then we want to go this route. Else we're basically going to do something similar, but this way. I am not sure that this is going to work, by the way. Oops, I forgot the switch. So 4, let's just say 4 is, let's assume 4 is up and 5 is down. So I guess we'll just say F32, or no, I guess we'll say I8, right? Amount equals 0. And then we'll do amount equals, I don't know, I guess we'll just say 1. Or I guess we'll say -1 and then amount equals 1. I might have those backwards. And then we can do process mouse wheel. And what was the, that just wants the Z delta. Okay, so that's going to just be amount. I should probably call that, wait. Oh, no wonder that looks weird. That should be there. Okay. I should probably call that delta. All right. Why is this complaining? Expected 1 have 2. Oh, because I don't need that. All right. So I guess let's be explicit here. This is a complete hack. I don't know if this is actually going to work. So this is going to be interesting. So we're just going to say equals 4 or it equals 5. Right. Obviously that needs to be cleaned up. That's horrible, but I don't even know that this is going to work. So let's go ahead and can that, build this. The to-do direction is concerning to me. Okay, so the event is firing. That's good. Let's get rid of the breakpoints. And let's see, did that... Oh, I'll be dipped. It is correct. Okay, now the only thing I have to figure out is... Well, I am moving the mouse wheel. I can't show you guys because I don't think I can get it on frame because my cord is kind of stretched, but I am moving the mouse wheel back and forth to scroll. So that's good. It is backwards. So that's neat. And we shouldn't obviously be able to scroll without the scroll bar being there, but that's another thing. Wow, this is a super hacky way to do it. So it's like a button press release, but it's not a button. It's a separate button index that I then have to use to apply a delta. Sure, that seems fine. Sure. Okay. Does your engine have physics? I'm new to the stream, so just curious. No, it does not. If we need a physics library, we're going to write one. But I don't think we're going to need that for this. It's an action RPG, so you know, we're not going to need a full-blown physics simulation for this at all. 4-5 is mouse wheel up down, then 6-7 is horizontal secondary wheel. Were there even a 6 and 7? There's a 5. Yeah, this is beyond bizarre, but that's a really good point. Like, how do I know? Because there are some mice that have scroll wheels in the other direction. In fact, I have one that has another scroll wheel on it that goes the other direction. Yeah, that is super awkward. XCB, by the way, Dr. Elliott, is it's the window manager. It's a window manager for Linux, right? So it's built on top of the X11 windowing system, which is really just a client server protocol to handle windowing in the OS. So if you've heard of X11, it's sort of what's considered the legacy windowing system for Linux. And then there's Wayland, which is this sort of new shiny thing, right? And so what I'm using is XCB, which is a layer that sits on top of X11 that kind of makes things a little bit easier to work with in some cases. And, comes with Linux, right? But I'm currently running on Wayland, so I'm technically also using something called X-Wayland, which takes all of the X or XCB commands and translates them to Wayland commands, since I'm actually running Wayland as my desktop at the moment, if that makes sense. It's confusing. How are your compile times and how many lines are you currently at? So I can actually I can clear everything and build, right? So however long this is. So not terrible, right? I don't have a timer on it. Maybe 20 seconds to build the whole thing. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But that is probably around 90,000 lines of code across a few projects at this point. And that is debug, yes. Release would probably be a little bit different, but not too much. Yeah, it builds pretty quick, I have to say. And I haven't really even optimized all that much for that. So physics is probably past my from scratch boundary. Someone else can develop that. Yeah, so I'm going to do basic physics, right? If we ever get into the need for like hardcore physics, I'm going to have a physics plugin that I'll implement as, in addition to the engine. All right. So let me make sure I got my scroll direction correct, and then I actually need to get off because I am over, and I do have work in the morning. Yeah, there we go. So now I can scroll. It's way too slow. We need to obviously make our scroll bar, work correctly. We need to set boundaries on this, but the basic premise of scrolling, that is all there is to it, right? It's literally just there's not a whole lot to it. There really honestly isn't. There's just a little bit of bounds checking that we have to do. And I think probably the most complicated part about this whole thing is going to be setting up that thumb button that goes in here. But even that's not too bad. I've done it before, so we'll get to that. Coming from C++ and compile times were slow. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I use C. It's one of the big reasons I use C. Matt Osgard, good to see you. How's it going? Out of curiosity, why not use something like GLFW or for cross-platform input? I've never done anything like this, so no idea if there's issues with... Yeah, so there's, I'm sure there are issues with it, but the whole point of this entire series is to develop as much as we can from scratch and to show how to build this stuff from the ground up. So I went through all of the pain of implementing the platform layer for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And that's why. And at this point, we actually have a pretty solid foundation. So I wouldn't change from it at this point anyways, regardless. But it also means that we don't have dependencies on those things, which is awesome. So the fewer dependencies we can have for this, the easier it is for anybody to just grab it, download it, and do what they need to do. And Matt Osgard, I do want to say a big thank you to you, by the way, for all of the support. I really do greatly appreciate it. All right. So, speaking of Dingus, thank you for the follow. I need to find somebody to raid because I do have to get up for work in the morning. So let me do that. Let's see who is... Okay, I think I see who we might actually raid. And I think he's also on YouTube, which is good. So, yeah. You know what? Let's actually do that. Let me set that up real quick. Work is super inspiring. I'm glad you think so, and I'm glad you find it useful. Yeah, that means a lot to me. So it makes all of this stuff worth it for sure. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. Let me go ahead and set up. I know on the YouTube side it's a little bit different in how I have to set up the raid, quote unquote. Where is it? There it is. So here we go. So that one's set up. So as soon as I end the stream on the YouTube side, you guys will cut over there. And over here on the Twitch side, so on both sides, I should say, we are going to be rating Moonwood Games. So he's making a retro roguelike RPG. And it's using blackjack as the battle mechanic, which I think is pretty cool. So we're going to go see what he's up to, and I'm sending both of you guys over tonight. So, yeah, thank you guys for being here. Nicola, good to see you as well over there on the YouTube side. Bad timing, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.